Medicine is arguably the best and worst thing to have ever happened in my life. Regardless of interpretation, it's definitely one of the most influential things that have shaped my life. There are basically two scenes that play in my head constantly because of medicine. The first one is from a film called Flatliners.
25-year-old female admitted last night, complaining of numbness on left side, nausea, vomiting.
Anything of note from the physical exam?
Sees the color red differently between left and right eye and oral ulcers.
Preliminary diagnosis. Brad.
Pituitary cyst.
No. Jamie. Jackie.
Stroke?
My God. You need to do better than this. All of you. What do you think the largest age demographic is in our society today? You. Young adults in their 20s, which means that there are at least 1,000 people waiting to take your spot. And we are not in the business of training country club doctors, nor do we waste our time on students who think that they can skate by doing the least work necessary. We are here to educate students who push themselves, those who are capable of making new discoveries, and actually move the dial on human knowledge. And for those of you who think that's too much, then you should leave. And by that I mean now.
This clip encapsulates the feelings I have in medicine, and while I'm so grateful that the actual doctors I have teaching me are incredibly supportive, there are three realities that I have to realize. 1. I'm being given an incredible opportunity many have tried to reach, but didn't because of me. 2. That every moment that you aren't swimming forward, someone else is swimming past you, and there still isn't enough opportunity for everyone at the end to get what they want, so you need to not only keep up, but get ahead of the pack to secure the future that you want. 3. I'm an international medical graduate, an IMG, so I have to fight harder just to get the same opportunities because there are more of us pursuing a very limited number of opportunities. And as much as you feel sorry for yourself and people comfort you through all the challenges, it doesn't change the fact that after the comfort, you still have a mountain you need to keep climbing, which leads to the feeling you get watching this God of War clip.
There it is!
Hold. What are you doing? Now his guard is up. Only fire. Only fire when I tell you to fire.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better. Find it.
You feel sorry for not being good enough, but the reality is, you just need to be better to achieve your goals. So those are the basics of how I feel all the time. But here are the three things that have really changed in me after years of trying to study medicine. 1. The pursuit of excellence. What this means is that every moment not climbing is a moment I will have to climb in the future. I am perpetually behind as there is more to do at any stage of my learning at all times, since there's only so much time in the day. You may say that it's important to take breaks on the climb, because if you don't, you'll burn out and won't be able to climb at all. Well, the reality is that there's a certain amount of information that you need to competently know by a certain point. So it's like trying to swim to the surface when more water keeps pouring down. If you fall behind, you only stress yourself out further because you have so much more you have to swim in the same amount of time, or else you'll end up drowning. Aside from the deadlines set by rigors of training, there is this idea of competition. The first of which is the psychological fact that you know that there are thousands of other people waiting for a shot to take your place because our field is very competitive to get into. The second very real fact you have to face is that even in this exclusive club of medical students, there isn't enough supply of residency spots for everyone, and if you're not willing to fight harder than the others for those spots, you won't get one. And it isn't like people fighting for these spots are incapable people either. They are people who are fighting the same battle as you, learning medicine and trying to do things to make their application stand out. So if you don't keep swimming, they will overtake you and you will be left to drown at the end of things. I have a good friend who I worked with a lot before starting medical school, and he's a more than capable guy. However, he's applied to the residency match at least 4 times, and to this day he has not matched. In Canada, there is a well-known case of a Canadian graduate who was not able to match into residency 2 years in a row, and after that, he took his own life. I can only imagine the soul-crushing feelings that you would get realizing that you've slaved away countless hours trying to gain proficiency of this craft for a number of years to only feel like a failure, unable to use the skills, and being told that everything you did during your medical school wasn't enough for a job. While the story was covered more and is extra sad because this was a local graduate, not matching is the reality for thousands of IMGs every year, and so I live with the visualization that this horrible outcome of not matching may be mine one day. The second thing that I've had to learn and has really changed me since starting medical school is realizing that the price of exceptionalism is balance. What this means is that I don't get a life outside, since exceptionalism is just matching for me. In my school, the most recent graduating class had around 20 people who wanted to apply to a North American residency program because they chose to do clinical rotations here in the US. However, of that graduating class, only 3 out of those 20 or so people ended up matching into a US residency program this year. So for us, just matching into a US residency program is exceptional. It feels like we're fighting as hard as an A student just to have a B life. One consequence of embracing that the price of exceptionalism is balance is that it makes me a horribly incomplete person, as I try to just balance the necessities of being a good doctor. Right now, I can barely get through my Anki reviews and then sometimes do a question block. I lack the ability to code, speak other languages, have lots of research experience, have significant other projects outside of medicine, and I have very little in the way of sociability because I can't find the time to consistently work on all these things, even though I know I need to. A lot of people will say that this is just medical school, but the reality is that medicine is a rapidly evolving field where there's always more to learn and to improve. There's this big idea of work-life balance, but in a way, I almost don't even want it at the end of the road anymore. Because if you're balancing, it means again, someone is running ahead of you in any specific thing you do, and you just end up looking worse at everything you do than someone else. I remember when I was being taught clinical skills by a surgeon in training, he talked about how his supervisor was a god on the table, but he didn't even know his own son, and it made the resident question what he really wanted. Did he want to achieve the greatness of his superiors, or did he want to be present for his family? It really made him think about what the good life was for him, and I wonder the same now. The final way I feel that medicine has ruined me is the fact that I really can't feel anything anymore. And that makes me a really good doctor, and a really bad one, and also a really bad person. Throughout this whole experience, all these thoughts have been whirling in my head, and you'll often see videos and talks about medical students emotionally breaking down and being burnt out. The reality for me is that I realize that this stuff is hard, but assigning emotions to all of it will lead to that outcome of emotional breakdown. So I have ended up just detaching emotionally more than ever from everything and anything. Growing up in an Asian household with high expectations, I was already put in a position where you faced your problems, and crying about them wasn't going to solve them. It was never about how you felt, but how you were going to deal with things. Years of this training already made me too numb to be able to connect and write in a way that would let me go down what would have been the natural, a lot less resistive medical path for me. But my time in medicine, ironically, has only made me more numb. Being sad and upset at things doesn't change the fact that I still need to climb. I now live with the constant stress of doing better, when at this moment I am far from exceptional in the field, but I need to strive to get there. I have so few skills and I'm missing out on so much and undermine so many things that I would consider important had I not been in medicine. But medicine truly is something that brought the best of me, that it made me give my all to something continuously for years too. However, it also brought the worst out in me, as it's limited my ability to pursue and think about other things. So that's why I feel like medicine has both ruined my life but driven me more than anything else ever has. So forgive me when I'm not keen to hear that people aspire to be like me, a future doctor. I have few skills outside of being able to learn academic type material in medicine. I have little in the way of assets and experience. Just studying medicine doesn't inherently make you someone pleasant to be around, and I'm definitely proof of that. What's worse is the reality is, when you actually get to the line where you're good enough on paper, you realize how awfully bland a person you are because you've been so focused on achieving your goal that nobody wants to work with you anyways. This is one of the huge pitfalls I really want to let tryhards / whatever they're called know about, and it really bothers me when I see it. Don't be so blinded with your ambitions that you become a person people don't want to talk to. Because if you can get an A++ in your course, but you are terrible to talk with, because you don't know anything about sports, you think pop culture is stupid, and you have no other experience to talk about, when you get the opportunity to interview for something that you want, even if it has a remotely social component, you will destroy your shot at it. I get this kind of attitude for maybe those non-social jobs we think about, but at least if you're trying to pursue medicine, that one-track study attitude that your Asian parents are drilling into you can actually really hurt you if that's all you do. I guess to really hit home this point about how medicine has really changed me and possibly ruined me is the fact that even writing this was a pain, because it takes time to properly formulate the ideas that run around in your head into something more coherent. However, when you feel like you're perpetually having to do something else, studying, getting clinical experience, research, etc., for medicine, you can't stand sitting around mulling over things in your head for too long without feeling like you're missing out on something else you're supposed to be doing. And yet, I wouldn't trade it for anything right now. I had so many other things pulling me in different directions throughout my life, and I just marched towards this path. For a long time, I wondered if this was the right choice, but I definitely think that this is the ideal career path I want to walk right now after thinking about why I want to be in medicine. Despite feeling like medicine ruined my life, I wouldn't trade it for anything else. I want to live my life to the fullest, knowing that I burned it up trying to use it. I want to live my life to the fullest, knowing that I burned it up using it. Motivation-wise, outside of the pressure trying to just keep up, I relate to Neiman from Whiplash with the scene.
Well, I don't think that we should be together. And I've thought about it a lot, and this is what's gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna keep pursuing what I'm pursuing. And because I'm doing that, it's gonna take up more and more of my time, and I'm not gonna be able to spend as much time with you. And even when I do spend time with you, I'm gonna be thinking about drumming. And I'm gonna be thinking about jazz music and my charts and all that. And because of that, you're gonna start to resent me. And you're gonna tell me to ease up on the drumming, spend more time with you because you're not feeling important. And I'm not gonna be able to do that. And really, I'm just gonna start to resent you for even asking me to stop drumming. And we're just gonna start to hate each other. And it's gonna be ugly. And so for those reasons, I'd rather just, break it off clean.
The point of the film and scene is supposed to say that you don't want to be like this and how toxic things are. But here I am going, yes, I'll kill myself trying to achieve what I want to achieve in my life, and trying to pursue excellence and contribute to medicine is that thing I'm dying to do with my life. Again, it's a scary thing when I see bright-eyed good people who want to do medicine. It's soul-crushing and will destroy you as a person, making you into something else. But for me, if I really look back on it, I guess I can make the argument that's fine that medicine destroyed the former deadbeat trash like me and turned me into something at least partially useful. Am I incredibly grateful to have this opportunity, to have this type of suffering? Yes. Do I feel like I'm brutally suffering? Yes.